Hi everyone, this is Lara Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and in today's video I'll show you how I use Todoist to manage my work in graduate school. So I have been using two task management platforms in parallel to manage my work for grad school this semester. I just did some videos recently on how to use Trello to manage schoolwork in college and university, and also high school. So this video is about Todoist. Apologies in advance if you've seen the other two videos. There will be a little bit of duplication. So although I really like the versatility and richness of features from Trello, in the end I've decided to use Todoist based on my requirements and my needs. I've actually started using it for all of my task management, but in this video I'm just going to talk about managing college work. So I am in a part-time, partial distance learning program, and I'm taking 3 classes this semester. Because of this, my setup is going to be a little simpler than it would be for those of you who are taking a full load, but the basic ideas all still apply. I have not done a full tutorial on Todoist yet, but in its most basic form, you add tasks to Todoist with or without due dates, recurrences, and priority levels. If you upgrade to the premium version, you can also add labels and notes. What I want to focus on here is Todoist's ability to work with projects. So projects are crucial to Todoist. In fact, if you do not assign a task to a project, it's going to remain in your inbox until you assign one to it. So I have a project named Grad School. Within it, I have some generic recurring tasks like registering for classes and returning rental textbooks. I also have a weekly recurring task to plan out my tasks for the week. We're going to talk about that a little bit a little later. So none of these tasks are specific to a class. Okay, so this semester I'm taking 3 classes. I add each of them in as sub-projects underneath the parent grad school project. Todoist allows you to do 4 levels of projects, but we're not going to need all of those. In order to add a sub-project, I click on the 3 dots to the right of grad school. I choose to add a project below, and I assign it a color. So now I need to use this movement icon on the left of the project to indent it underneath grad school. So you can see that each of these is a sub-project to grad school since I can collapse them using this arrow. Okay, so in my experience, college professors need to be pretty organized. The professors in my program generally have planned out the entire semester week by week with all of the reading, assignments, big projects, etc. for each week in the syllabus. So at the beginning of the semester, I take all of the syllabi and I enter all of that information into Todoist. It does take a couple of hours, but it saves me from having to do all of that data entry and administrative stuff throughout the semester. So here's how I do it. Let's take my disorders class as an example. For each week, I'm going to put in a task that shows that week's topic. The week of October 23rd has a topic of depressive disorders. So this task has a due date that marks the start of the week, October 21st. This is a little off since I like to start my week on Mondays, and this professor has a Wednesday to Wednesday weekly cycle. Okay, so now I enter in all of my reading and assignments for that week as subtasks under this. So you can see that I have to read 3 different chapters, which I put in as 3 different tasks. I have to do a critical thinking discussion post, and I have to take a quiz. So these are all subtasks under the weekly topic so that I can collapse them underneath that weekly parent task. You can also see that I have not put any due dates on any of the subtasks, only on the main one. So I'm going to show you in a minute how this works. Okay, so I go through and I enter a parent task and subtasks for every week of the semester for every class. Todoist actually makes it really easy to put in multiple tasks. If you paste in tasks on multiple lines, separate lines, it will ask you if you want to create one task or multiple. So you can see I did this for my research class as well. My spirituality class is organized not by weeks, but by modules, which run for 2 weeks. So I put in the parent tasks and subtasks by module. Again, only the weekly parent task gets a due date assigned for now. Okay, each class generally also has a big project or a paper or several, as well as weekly assignments. So I'm going to put those in as well. So for example, again in my disorders class, I have a final paper due on December 4th. So I'm going to put in the main project task with the due date of December 4th, and then I will enter at least one subtask. This is to remind myself to plan out the tasks for this paper. So for this subtask, I am going to set a due date. So that task already happened on October 8th. So I happen to have all of the other subtasks for this paper planned out with the due dates attached to them. Usually these big projects tend to get lost in the shuffle, so I usually mark them with an emoji when I'm using the iOS version of Todoist. You can see that most of my projects have a spade symbol on them so that they stand out from weekly assignments. Okay, so here's how this works on a weekly basis for me. I have a general task on Mondays to organize and plan out my grad school tasks for the whole week. In addition, for each of my classes, the weekly parent task is going to pop up on Mondays. So this is a bit of a simplified view since I would normally have a bunch of other non-grad school tasks in my to-do list, but here's what I have on any given Monday. Now to plan out my tasks of the week, I go to each of these weekly overview tasks and I expand them so I can see all of the subtasks. Now I take a look at my calendar for the week and I plan out when I want to accomplish each thing. And I put assigned dates to each of the subtasks. Once I have dates set out for all of these subtasks, I do not check the parent task off as complete. So doing that would mark all of the subtasks as complete as well, and I haven't even gotten started on them yet. So instead, I simply set the parent task to no due date. So that eliminates the parent task from my list for today, but any subtasks that are assigned to today still remain. In addition, if I go into projects, I can still see it. You'll notice that each of the weekly parent tasks has a star emoji marking it. That is actually so it pops out in the projects view. Todoist has a lot of white space, which I find can make things all look a little too uniform, but this is the way that I make the current week a little more obvious. So I go through and I do this for each of my classes with their weekly parent task. So on any given day of the week, I may have 7 or 8 different readings or assignments from a variety of classes that I need to do. I can drag and drop them into the order that I plan to do them, and then I can get to work checking them off as I go. Once I've completed each of the subtasks under a weekly parent task, I can mark it as complete and it disappears from the project. Pretty regularly, I check under each of my classes, under projects, just to make sure that nothing is falling through the cracks. One other note. If you are using Todoist for more than just your schoolwork, you may have, let's say, 15 other tasks in your to-do list along with your schoolwork. I find it a little tedious to drag each school task up to the top of the list once I want to start working through them, so I have discovered an easier way. If I just highlight and select all of my school tasks, I can then assign them a higher priority, say priority 3, which is blue, and that automatically sorts those tasks up to the very top of the to-do list. I can then drag and drop to change the order among other tasks of the same priority, but not with tasks that have a different priority. Since I like to work on my schoolwork all in one time block, this is perfect. So this system works really well for me. I can keep track of my schoolwork and regular tasks in the same system. I can plan in advance without having to determine due dates for each subtask months in advance, and I can sort my regular tasks and schoolwork into an order that makes sense for my daily workflow. Turning on completed tasks in the project also allows me to go back and see the work that I have already finished. Let me know what you think. Comments are always appreciated, and thanks for watching.